Greetings, I am Darkling and this is Ark Survival Evolved. Today I'm going to take you through the construction of a 2-story taming pen with an enlarged drop zone. This will be a start to finish construction, so stick around and hopefully you might learn something. Okay, so we've covered a basic taming pen and now I'm going to show you the upgraded version of it. I'm going to go through the whole build again because apparently that's what people like to see, so I'm willing to do the process again. See if I can actually speed things up a little bit this time. I have noticed that the more I talk, the slower I actually build, so hopefully I don't go too slow for you and hopefully I don't have too much dead air. I can tell when I'm concentrating because I stop actually talking. Depends on whether or not I've had something funky go on with snaps or something like that. Group in the middle. That's the same process for the start of this. I'm going to make a naked pen this time, so it's not going to have the sides on it like that one does. Quite like the look of the naked pen. See why when I'm done. Now this one is going to be a 2-story taming pen. Now this particular design I came up with just after the Thylaco was released because a buddy of mine, 360, he found me a nice Thylaco and I said, yep, sure, I'll have that. He dropped it in my taming pen and proceeded to carry on through the redwoods and said, oh, I found another one. I managed to tame the first one and the second one got dropped off, and then he turned up with a third one and I had to do some creative, a little bit of creative work to block off some of the taming pen to allow the extra tame to go on at the same time. After that I decided, well, if I'm going to have this potentially happen again, I'm going to try and prevent it, or at least try and make it easier, allow 2 tames to go on at once. And once I actually perfected the design, I built it on this map here. Actually, it was over on that plateau over there, and it ended up being in the tour video that MacLeod did, and I'm told, I haven't actually seen it myself, but I'm told that quite a few YouTubers actually picked up the design and have been using it. Unfortunately they don't remember who I am, so I didn't get the credit for it, but it's definitely my design. Okay, so I've gone up quite a mount. Now here's where things get a little bit different. I need to add a level. Take a couple of those, maybe a little bit more. Got a fly for this one. Now I've got no problems using cheat commands to do all these things because I really don't care. The tutorials and whatnot especially, it's not worth doing the grind for. I do encourage, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I encourage people to go into their single player and spawn everything. Spawn a whole bunch of stuff, build with it, practice your building. Learn what snaps to what, how things work. It's so much easier getting your head around some of the building techniques in single player and then being able to take that across to a multiplayer. I'm going to go out 2 on this one. Should have enough dry ceilings on me to complete this. As you can see, this one's actually going to be considerably bigger than the other one. But being a naked pen, it should actually look a little bit more stylish. Okay, so I've got the balcony area set up. So this is where we grab again, put in some door frames. Now, tricky part is going to be this. Actually getting these set up on the right snap points. As you saw on some of the earlier video, where I was going into dual snap points and making sure things snap in the correct place, very important, very, very important. Especially if you want things to line up and look gorgeous. So I'll jump back up. Snap to the opposite, no. Being problematic. There we go, snap to the opposite. So, okay, so I'm going to need to put some more across here. I've got the initial run around here. Okay. More door frames, a couple of walls, and the hatch frame. Now the hatch frame is important to fit in quite early because there's a few things you need to look into. We'll just take the whole 50. Behemoth hatch. So, it's not a behemoth door. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so the reason you place this in straight away because I'm building this with stone materials. Now, if I was doing this on the server or whatnot, I would probably be using a tech hatch frame. Purely because the tech hatch frame doesn't have an opening size. So what I want to do is I want to find the snap. That'll work. Nope, it's not going to work. Let's try that again. Now this won't sit in here perfectly pretty. All you want is for it to sit so it's got as much of the inside available as possible. Say that's probably about as good as it'll place, and I can live with that. Okay, so next thing I'll do is I'll put the actual door in. And I'm going to change it so it's on manual. So now when I open it, it should open upwards. Okay, so this is where the problems start occurring. Now, if you haven't measured this out properly, okay, so we want to go up probably 3. The problem I had occur on one of my early constructions of this is I didn't make the second story tall enough. So when I had the hatch open up to drop stuff into the bottom, it was actually going through the enlarged drop zone. So it was actually impeding the whole process. So it's good. Need to fill in those extra bits that are missing. I really wish that somebody had created a hatch that was in the hex, because this would be so much prettier. I really hope S Plus does eventually add one. Gorgeous. Okay, I think it's going to be close enough for what we need. Okay, we've got all the sides filled in, so now I need to change materials. I'm still going to need, I can drop all the foundations off for now. I probably will still need some later on just to finish up the outside. I'm going to need more of those. Still doing some more of those. Okay, looks like I haven't spawned in enough of the tri-roofs. Okay, so we'll spawn in some more of those to work with. 100 should be far too many. I said to split the stack, not stick the whole lot across. Thank you very much. Okay. Now we've got our second story height worked out, which is the biggest problem with this build. We can add that enlarged drop zone. Now you don't have to enlarge it by the 2. You can enlarge it just by 1. In fact, I think we might just do the one on... No, we'll do the 2. We'll do the 2. Oops. Oh, I don't want to hit the wrong key. Excellent. As you can see, my gate doesn't go and cut off any of the slope parts, so that's good. My initial build, it stuck out nearly a whole wall height, which was really annoying, but what can you do? You just got to pull it all down and start again. Something you really have to get used to in Ark is if something doesn't work, just pull it down and start again. And that destroyed a piece, so well. You can really pick up the pace once you get used to it, and if you've got your hotbar set up properly so that you don't have to fiddle around or look at the keys, you just strafe a little, press the button, click to place it, and get through it quite a lot faster, sorry. Oh, haven't quite got enough. Thankfully I still have it on my spawns, excellent. And okay, so the enlarged drop zone for this level is complete. However, I'm going to need to make a scaffold to add the next part on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up. Oh, it's okay, I can. Now normally I would stick the ceiling below and then snap to that. I don't have to worry about this part because I'm not going to be snapping quite the same way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a scaffold along here. Now all this is going to come off, so it doesn't matter about how it's going to look at the moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to add these in here. Excellent. I need a few more try to get around. Definitely going to need some more door frames to finish the project as well, but that's not too major. Still have that spawn command in my list, so it should be nice and straightforward. Sure, I can carry door frames. Okay, so as you can see, it's starting to look a bit bizarre, having that scaffold at the back does change the look of it a little bit. But as with a lot of projects in Ark, don't worry about what it looks like in the process of building it, it's the end result that matters. And have fun with your builds. If you're not enjoying building, then don't build. I mean, you've got to do this if you enjoy it. I love building an Ark. I mean, I'm up to what, 5,500 hours. If I was over it, I wouldn't be playing anymore. But I've ended up getting not too bad a builder. I mean, I've had people tell me I'm a great builder, I'm a master builder. I consider myself okay. Like, there's other people out there that do some pretty spectacular things, and I really hope that I'm not ranking too high. Otherwise, yeah, I want to see other people build better. I want to be inspired by what other people build. I don't go out looking for other people's builds because I don't want to have my own builds. Okay, contaminated isn't the right word, but I like to have my own ideas, and if I don't see somebody else doing it, then I know it's my idea. We're just going up the 2, something's gone wrong. Yeah, it's not. How did that place there? So hit E. Okay. Excellent. Okay, so now we have the outer row sorted, we can actually remove all these. And as you can see, through the use of scaffold, we managed to snap together a couple of things that wouldn't normally be able to be snapped together. That drops off, not worried. This is one of the reasons why I keep telling people use scaffolding, because it lets you do some really nice things, but you've got to practice and you've got to get a feel for how things actually work. Because if you're trying to wing it, you know, you will achieve eventually, but if you've sat down and had a play, especially on single player where resources don't matter, you can achieve a lot more in a lot shorter space of time. Okay, so we now have a rather shapely looking facility. I'm going to close this hatch for now, and next thing I'm going to do is just trim up the foundations around the bottom, add some railings and maybe a ramp to get up to the top. I need a gate for the entrance. Gate. Those and rover bit. Might take a few extra of these. And yes, I do talk to myself a lot. Can't be helped, I'm afraid. Hopefully I'm not mumbling too much. I hope you're actually able to follow along with me. I'm not used to talking to myself quite to this degree. If I'm talking to myself normally with just myself, it's usually mumbling, and especially when I'm getting frustrated with the build. Even when you've got a fair bit of experience in building, you're still going to have things that frustrate you. You have to learn to switch off. If something frustrates you too much, the best thing to do is just walk away. Give yourself an hour or so, or go and work on another part of your build. It's just the best way to go. Entrance there. So we need to be able to access the upper level. So what I'm going to do, drop it down from here. Snap that on the bottom. It's going to things. That's cool. That. Right. Also wants a foundation there. One of the things I like to do when I'm working, especially this kind of thing where I'm adding a funny ramp to the side, I'll actually match everything I do with the foundations. Foundations are very, very important in a build, which is really stating the obvious. But when you're building anything above that, it's starting to get a little bit more spindly and extravagant. You need to be very, very aware of what your foundation's doing, so that you don't end up building, building and then finding that your foundations just won't line up, and you can't actually get them to support what you need them to. And then you have to start doing funky stuff with the foundations, which further along in the build might turn out to be really, really bad. Why does that move so much? I have got something funny going on here. So what I'm going to do to fix this is I'm going to take all these out. Now my best guess is that because I snapped that try to the bottom of that ramp, it's causing me the problems because it's not aligned. So I'm going to take it up off, so I run out of ramps. I'm going to snap from the bottom upwards and rejoin it. Should do it. As you can see, the build's starting to look a lot more interesting. There's a slight gap at the bottom of the door frames. I quite like how that's looking. It's just because I didn't lower the door frames. Sorry, it's snapped into the lower snap point. That was a choice on this particular build. I normally would, but I wanted something different this time. See, I build this these sort of things so often, I do need to change it up from time to time. That looking so... Snap something funny. Let's fix up these first. Snap to try, and then 2 squares. No, of course I don't. And what it is I need to make a scaffold. Steal those. Getting something funky going on. I see what's happened. One of those snaps hasn't actually, for some reason, snapped quite in place. So I've had that one happen before. It's fine, we can work around these things. This is one of the reasons why people wanted to see the whole process from beginning to end with the mistakes, because there's sometimes when things pop up that They want to know how to deal with them, what to look for. And like I said, you know, no matter how much experience you've got, you're still going to make mistakes. You're still going to have problems with things. You're better off just persevering and you'll get there in the end. Okay. Good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these. Let's see how options looking. Let's try and remove both. Won't be able to remove that last one. Can't imagine. If I take that one out, I don't think I've got enough support out there. I think something will drop off. So that's cool, I can leave that like that, I'm not too worried. I should be able to remove that one. Finish doing the foundations around here. Excellent. Delayed. Oh, I've got to take out the middle bits for here is going to be an interesting thing. Is it going to fall apart? Awesome. Occasionally when you pull things out, things might come with it. It is a problem, but you're just going to have to take the chance. I've had whole builds where I've had to worry about the entire build coming down. But, you know, it happens. And that's looking pretty good. I'll tidy it up with placing those dropped pieces. Too bad. Some railing around the bottom. These are just prettying factors, they're not technically needed. If you're doing this in your middle of your base so it's, you know, a safe compound, you don't generally have to worry about anything climbing up and over. I've done it, I like doing this particular style into a cliff, or not a cliff so much, but into a hill, and then half of these will actually, you won't need to add. You can end up with part of the foundations going into the slope, and I quite like the look and the appeal of that, but it depends how you do it, because you can have a lot of problems with other things going wrong, like you're not having enough support for what's above. But you live and learn. So to pretty this up, I would probably box this area in. Got to stick the gate on yet? Well, I've actually got the gate on there, I can do it now. I'm not going to worry about the little bit of wall sticking through the top of the gate, that really doesn't bother me. I've learnt through playing Ark to let go of certain things that you know, I think a lot of the problems I have being on low graphics, they probably don't translate and they're not quite as visible on some of the higher graphics ones where they've blended in a bit better. But I've learnt to let a lot of things go, especially with overlapping techniques, because you end up with extra lines and whatnot showing up. So I should have got some ramps too, I think. I've got some on me. I'm going to put something here and here. It's just to blend that foundation in a little bit and give it a little bit more, it belongs in the build. And just to, again, tidy things up, stick some ramps down the sides. Aim should get in and out of there easy as, it shouldn't be a problem. So that's auto close only. So manual already. So as you can see, if you've open your pen, drop a tame in, it'll fall to the bottom. You got another tame turn up, close your hatch, and drop another one in. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. You can do 2 tames at once. If things become problematic and you've got another tame turn up, I have in the past had a tame below, a tame up here, open this up, let the tame drop down, so I've got 2 tames at the bottom, reclose this, and then you can have 3 tames on the go. It's a little bit more problematic because when the door frames open, sometimes they push things around a little bit, but I've not had too many problems yet. So let's have a look at this from the distance. So as you can see, as I said, the naked taming pens definitely look more interesting than just a straight box pen. Like if you box the sides in for the security, depending on where you are, it does tend to detract a little bit. The taming pens can look rather nice. A little bit of style. I'd probably maybe use that spot underneath the ramp to stick a preserving bin in with a door frame attached, or door frame to be able to get into it, just so you can keep some of your taming gear over here. But this is one of my favorite taming pens I've ever built. Style, and it has tended to be the most popular from other people's points of view too. I've had quite a lot of people try and replicate these particular taming pens, especially this one here, with just a single expansion drop zone. I have seen people actually a pretty reasonable job with fence foundations, where they've literally put fence foundations in the hex and then snapped off that. So it can be done in many ways, but this is my preferred method. I hope you like it, I hope it comes in useful, and if you come up with your own variations and forms, please let me know. I would really love to see what you've come up with. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you want to see more like this, remember to hit the subscribe button. There's a link in the description to my Discord, which also has a number of screenshots from my past and present builds, so feel free to stop in and say hi.